Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Czar. I have a couple or a lot of picks. I'm going to run through this whole card for UFC 305. We're going to run through these pretty quickly. Well, some of the fights because they feel like they're genuinely card fillers, and I want to get towards that main card. So, starting us off on UFC 305, we have Stuart Nickel taking on Jesus Aguilar. Aguilar is very dangerous because he has that guillotine threat, and he also has a little bit of pop in that right hand. But Stuart Nickel, I've looked at a little bit of tape, not all of it, but a little bit. He does seem like when he gets you against the cage, he's able to get you down. Supposedly, he's like the Australia's great white knight. So we're gonna roll Stuart Nickel right there. I don't personally think I'm gonna touch the line. I don't have one currently, but Stuart Nickel's gonna be the pick. Next up, we have Song Kanan taking on Ricky Glenn. Ricky Glenn is very old now. He's very robotic, but he tends to surprise people. However, I don't think this is one of those cases. I think Song Kanan, goddamn, gets this done. I'll say via KO, and I'll call it in the second round. So Song Kanan for the win there. And next up, we have Tom Nolan, another card filler here, going against Alex Reyes. Alex Reyes has had a ton of health problems recently. He came back, got KO'd, and is coming back again against Tom Nolan. I don't really know why this fight was made. I mean, look at the odds. It's 1,200 for Tom Nolan. I think that's pretty much where it's going to get capped at, but I don't know. Whoever's buying in on that, you're insane. And Reyes is at plus 750. So another fight I'm not going to spend too much time on, but Tom Nolan's going to be the pick there. Next up, we have Jack Jenkins taking on Herbert Burns. Another card filler. Herbert Burns needs to be cut from the UFC. I have no idea why he's in here, but Jack Jenkins should get it done with that wonderful mustache. I'm going to call Jack Jenkins by round two. I'll call it a TKO by ground and pound. Next up, we have Casey O'Neill taking on Luana Santos. I'm going to roll Luana Santos here. I was trying to get on Casey O'Neill's side, but I'm just not seeing it. I don't think she's going to be anything special. I wouldn't be surprised if she's cut from the UFC within a couple of years, starts in OnlyFans or something like that. I have no idea. So Luana Santos for the win here. I'm not a big Casey O'Neill fan. However, I was trying to get over there for the value. But I just can't. Next up, we have Josh Kulabau taking on Ricardo Ramos. This one's a little tricky. I wanted to get to Ramos because he's team alpha male, but that's biased. I got to set that aside here. So I'm going to roll Josh Kulabau. Ramos tends to make really boneheaded decisions. I can't get there. He just, I don't know. I really don't know what to think of Ramos. He has the talent, which is really confusing. It's frustrating if I'm being completely honest. But I think Kulabau gets it done. I think he's on his worst day. He can definitely beat Ramos still. So Kulabau's going to be the pick there. Next up, we got Junior Taffa taking on Walter Walker. This one's hard. I'm gonna roll Junior Taffa though. I'm gonna trust those hands. I wasn't a big fan of Walter Walker. He struggled mightily in that debut. He really gassed out. However, you gotta, if you're on the Junior Taffa side as well, you gotta keep in mind that Junior Taffa, when he tends to go down, he is a humpback whale that has been beached. He cannot get back up. So don't be surprised or don't be alarmed if he goes down in that first round, possibly second round, and then you start to see him kind of turn it on by the end of the second round and going into the third, because Walker does gas. So if he cannot get Junior Taffa out of there and he's able to take him down, don't be surprised if going in later into the fight, Junior Taffa starts to, hit that second wind and he's putting it on Walker and ends up getting like a finish. But it's mainly going to be due to Walker being exhausted. So keep that in mind. Taffa's at a favorite right now, so negative 125. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, the way I would attack this is a live bet, because I would not be surprised if Junior Taffa drops that first round and then you can hit it from there. So Junior Taffa for the win. All right, guys. Next up, we have Li Jingliang, the Leech. I'm just going to call him the Leech, taking on Carlos Prates. I'm going to pick Prates here. I faded him twice, Chuck Buffalo and Giles, and both of them came up short. I'm done. I want to be on that Prates bandwagon. That guy is nasty, nasty. Those knees, those elbows. The only thing that I think people get frustrated with, and the reason why I've always faded him, he just seems like he's way too patient sometimes. He likes to sit back and just counter. But the problem being is that Giles was actually winning that fight. And then he got caught. So just be mindful of that. The Leech, I think, is getting up there in age. He had a really bad injury. He got robbed in that Rodriguez fight. I don't know what those judges were smoking on or what they were paid, if I'm being honest. But I think this is a terrible matchup for him to return into. Now, if he was active, I think this would be a different outcome. But I'm going to go roll Pratis here. He's active, whereas with the leash, he's older. He's been inactive off of an injury. Well, I just can't. I would need more plus money, which is crazy because he's already at plus 260. But Pratis, I think, is a parlay piece. So we're going to take him on the money line. Next up, we have Tai Shui Tuivasa taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Biggie Boy. I wanted to get to Tai Tuivasa because I kind of want to see him win, but when you're on this skid and you're getting finished, you're appearing to be somewhat chinny now. I can't. Rozenstruik is a very technical striker. If you don't believe me, go reference that Francis Ngannou fight. He's backing up and he's looking for that counter. Unfortunately, he got put to bed. He looked like me after a beer. So I'm out. I'm done. I'm out. I'm asleep. So Rozenstruik was out, and unfortunately, I think that's how Tai has to approach this. I think you just have to blitz him, and if you're trying to be technical, Tai Tuivasa, you're gonna lose. So I think he has to implement something similar, which is just run at Rozenstruik. Hopefully, he gets caught on a cage in a corner and just has to bite down and return something, and maybe that's where you catch him. But I don't think that happens. So give me Rozenstruik here. I think Ty's got that in the back of his head, which is I'm on this skid. Maybe I have to press, and I think with him pressing like that, Rozenstruik is going to be set up wonderfully, like he was with Shamil Gaziv. Once you start to let him get that jab going, it's going to be a long night. So Rozenstruik for the win at minus 230. I wouldn't mind pairing him with Pratis as a parlay. So give me Biggie Boy here. Next up, we have Matus Gamrot. He's boring as hell. Taking on Dan Hooker. Oh, man. You guys are going to hate me. I'm rolling Dan Hooker. He has not let me down. I would compare Dan Hooker to what Julian Erosa has been for me, which is just a dog. Someone that's getting this crazy value, which is at like plus 260. And they just come through for me. So I'm banking on Gamrot being able to pretty much dominate the fight, no doubt. But if you can recall, Gamrot's getting a bit chinny. Gamrot is there to get hit. And I think when Dan Hooker hits you, those lights can get turned off. I don't think it's going to be a case of him getting wobbled. So I'm going Dan Hooker via KO. I'd take it in the third round if I'm being honest. I mean, go look at that Jalen Turner fight. That thing was a war, and Dan Hooker was just there. He doesn't go anywhere. You're going to have to either take him out or he's going to take you out. So I'm taking Dan Hooker here. I know it's a bit of a Hail Mary, but I just don't think this card goes down, favorite after favorite after favorite. So give me Dan Hooker on the money line. Let's go, Dan. All right, next up, bit of a confusing co-main. I don't think he was worthy of the spot, but whatever. Kai Kara-France taking on Steve Erceg. Give me Steve Erceg. I'm not a big Kai Kara-France guy. I hate that he sticks his tongue out and does that thing. It's really corny. I mean, I remember he told Cody, bring that same energy as if we were in 2016 still. I don't know. The guy's really small. I think he's just struggles with self-identity. The guy is just... I'm not a big fan. So give me Steve Erceg. He's a lot bigger. He's been way more active. I think he's going to piece him up on the feet. And if it goes to the floor, I'm not concerned about that. So City Kickboxing, I think is going to go get a win with Dan and then take a loss with Kai Kara-France. So give me Steve Erceg here. I'd take him by decision if I'm being completely honest. It just depends on how aggressive Kai wants to be, but I think that's going to get dictated as we see the fight and how he feels and how his corner feels the fight's going. So Steve Erceg on the money line. All right, I'm so pumped up for this one. This is the main event. We got Dricus du Plessis, DDP, taking on Israel, the Bender Gender, Adesanya. So I can't stand this guy. He's flaunting the KO over Alex Pereira, which is a no-go. Chama, you can't do that. You were losing that fight. I'll give you the first fight. You were winning that, and then you got chinned. So I guess it's a bit of karma. So I don't support dog lovers. In this way with Adesanya. So if you don't believe me, go look him up on Twitter. But he's been inactive. He's been, what is he? He's 1-2 in his last 3 fights. So I'm going Dricus. I think he blitzes him. I think he gets Adesanya out of there quick. So I would say within the first 2 rounds. But that's just my opinion. People knocked DDP for his cardio, and we've seen it's not an issue. He does slow down a bit, but he keeps that same strategy. He implements it. So give me DDP. I think this is a for sure win. It's at plus 110. So yeah, give me DDP. And then I think Adesanya retires within 2 years. So that's going to do it for me, guys. I will update it as we do a weigh-in show possibly. We'll see if any fights get canceled. And like I said, I will update it. So good luck, you guys. I will see you next time. Let's go, DDP.